interaction between certain cognitive developments, yeah, learning to use the metal as money, on the one hand, and certain physical properties of this thing, yeah, guiding the cognitive process. Even the sense that this blend, the cognitive blend, corresponds to the physical blend in an alloy. So it is, I found this somewhat amazing. I think it is a special case. One should compare this with other countries. I mean, this is just Europe. Yeah, I did not yet have time, for example, to look at, for example, my other research area, China, whether one can discover similar processes here. Okay, I think I just stop here because this is just as a conclusion. I mean,
no, you can take the time.
Roberts, so I think.
That's okay.
Yeah, I still need some a couple of
minutes.
Oh. This is the final slide, just to. I just leave this mimetic thing because it's
really. A bit about this maneism.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, yeah.
I mean, perhaps just in very simple words. I think I already mentioned that in my map. There is this notion of meme, yeah, which was created by Richard Dawkins. Then many people started to use the term, but Dawkins just had, and also most followers just had in mind a bag of mixed things. Yeah? For example, a tune, a picture, I don't know, a piece of literature, yeah, a quotation. All these could be memes. Of course, such kind of an analogy does not lead very far, because you don't really have a criterion how to distinguish between memes and all other things that make up our cultural life. And there's also no real mechanism, yeah, how to explain reproduction, how to explain also phenomena such as what you really need in an evolutionary theory, inheritance, and so forth. Yeah, so it is really a mess, yeah, in that sense. Robert Aunger, he has a book, The Electric Meme. The Electric Meme is does not sound very academic, but it is a very, I think a very, very interesting and advanced theoretical treatment of this topic. He says the only way to make sense of the idea of meme is to regard memes as certain replicative neuronal structures, just corresponding, for example, to Edelman's theory. Replicative in the sense variation, selection, and retention, and so forth. There must be, and this is just a hypothesis. I mean, as in this few, the theory of genes was developed in the early 20th century without anybody knowing the chemical details, which were then later discovered by Watson and Crick. The same applies, Aunger says, for his notion. If you think of a meme as a sort of stable, replicative neural structure, this is just a hypothesis. There are people who argue that you can identify a sort of that thing already, but I think it's still a far way to go. But in principle, the idea, I think, makes sense, that a meme is nothing such as a tune or a picture. It is just that, a physical structure in the human brain which has the property of a replicator. Yeah? And then there is an effect, of course. The effect and the sense is the phenotype. This is, for example, a behavioral effect, yeah, that we observe. And Aunger then says, okay, these effects, what can that be? He says the most general way how we can systematize those effects is by using the term artifact. Why? And this is the same as Edelman said. I mean, how can we imagine of a sort of long-term stability in this sort of highly dynamic evolutionary human brain in terms of neuronal processes? Well, there must be an external anchor. And the anchor is communication. And communication works via artifacts. And as I said previously, for example, language is also in that sense an artifact. Yeah? We use sound waves, yeah, to I use the sound waves that I emit to cause something in your brain. And it's something that human infants learn in a very, very long process, and so forth. But there are many, many other artifacts. Even my body is an artifact. Yeah? So I use body language and so forth. But of course then also the artifacts in the more standard sense, all the things that humans create. And Aunger argues this is the crucial thing to set up a fully fledged theory of means. So that we would need to look at conjunctions, yeah, of neuronal structures which are replicative and artifacts. And artifacts themselves, of course, also develop an evolutionary dynamics, such as technology. I mean, technology develops an autonomous dynamics in the sense of, for example, once the wheel is there, yeah, you may get another idea how to use the wheel, and so forth. So the artifacts become, in the evolutionary sense, partly independent, and then you have the real interesting thing about this new Aunger's theory. Yeah, that you have a co-evolution, yeah, of neuronal structures and artifacts. And this is then what I say in my paper. This could be the framework how one can show how this linkage between an artifact such as the early coins and cognition, yeah, how you can explain this in theoretical terms. And then, of course, also money is then also an example, and this is was my final slide here. Money evolves or has evolved. Yeah, I was talking about the primordial aspects of money, but once money as an artifact came into existence, then money as such could be used in different ways. For example, the transactional use of money obviously, yeah, was a result of the first emergence of money. But then we have a long run development. There are new institutions emerging. Just to give, however,